Hello ladies and gentle wizards! In the time since my first video, Dark and Darker has been all over the place with significant nerfs, buffs, map lock per party size, the introduction of silent footsteps to all classes, a new AP season, gear-based matchmaking, new gear items, and now multi-classing. Being locked into Goblin Caves as our only map is less than ideal because the Swarm tends to favor melee classes by pushing everyone together and frequently forces ranged classes like us into undesirable areas of the map. Rogues are wildly popular on Goblin Caves, and nearly every rogue runs Cutthroat right now. Despite all of that, I recently managed to reach Demigod on my wizard without ever killing a boss, without using the Staff Mastery perk, without multi-classing, and without avoiding PvP. Hopefully this video can help you reach your own AP goals and you can learn the necessary lessons now instead of the hard way on your own. For my build, I try to get a casting speed above 90%, HP over 105, move speed over 295, and 11 true magical damage. You can achieve these with lots of different gear options, but this was my loadout in my last couple of runs before I hit Demigod. Caster Wizard excels the most in high gear, so after gear-based matchmaking I played all of my runs in the higher gear score brackets. For perks, I used Quick Chant, Sage, Arcane Mastery, and Spell Overload. For skills, I ran Single Spell Memory and Meditate. Meditate is a rare pick amongst wizards in Goblin Caves, but part of my main strategy relies on it, as I'll explain later. For spells, I use the 4 standard spells: Fireball, Magic Missiles, Invisibility, and Zap. And then for my 5th pick, I take Slow. I've tried many different spells in that last slot, but found that Slow gives me the best value because of how useful it is against Barbarians, no-shield melee warlocks, and Slayer fighters in the confined spaces that are the Goblin Caves. You have limited time in each run, so you have to prioritize your time spent in each module based on how much AP you can get from it, as well as how safe it is for you to be in during different times of the game. I have numbered all of the modules of the 5x5 Goblin Caves and written some general notes on AP and survival maximizing for each one. Feel free to pause the video at each page to read them and get an idea as to how I interpreted the map on my runs. Ideal looting is easy to learn. Higher rarity treasures are worth more AP than lower rarity treasures, and multiple small sized treasures give more AP than a single large sized treasure of the same rarity. There are a few single slot treasures that give more AP per inventory slot than large treasures of the next rarity, so I've linked a full AP treasure guide in the description. Some mob drops like Goblin Ears and Spider Silk give similar AP to green treasures per slot, so they can be worth extracting if you don't have enough treasure to fill up every slot. Looted gear also gives AP. The AP value is equal to the amount of gold that you would receive from selling the item to a merchant, though the only gear worth extracting once you hit Exemplar is going to be purple gear. Treasures starting at green single slots give more AP than purple gear per slot. It sounds complicated, but you'll catch on pretty fast. Mob killing is a big part of my AP strategy. According to the game's wiki, every standard elite mob is worth 8 AP, and every nightmare mob is worth 10. I try to kill at least 30 mobs per game to get me up to around 250 AP just from mobs. One catch is that spider mummies, despite being the second most annoying creatures in the dungeons, give 0 AP, so don't go out of your way to kill them. I imagine this is on purpose so players can't just farm infinite AP from one spider pot. Believe me, I tried. The sub-bosses in Goblin Caves, Giant Centipedes, and Skeleton Champions give 25 AP each, so if you have the opportunity and think you can kill one faster than you can go kill 3 goblins, it's not a bad plan, but it shouldn't be a big priority. The way I'm able to kill so many mobs so quickly is with a strategy I have dubbed the Lawnmower, where the goblins are all little red blades of grass, and my magic missiles plus my 11 true damage plus meditate plus an epic magic staff is the best landscaper in town. This allows me to deal with every mob in the map from range extremely quickly without having to sacrifice a spell slot for Ignite and a perk slot for Staff Mastery, which is the only other way that a wizard could achieve similar PvE numbers. To help you out, I've put a link to the wiki page that breaks down the AP for every mob in the description. PvP is not quite as straightforward as the other strategies. Killing players does give some AP, usually about 50 per kill if you're high rank, and it allows you to take their treasure if they have any, but one mistake or unlucky moment loses you multiple hours worth of progress. I would rather get minus 20 AP for extracting a little early once, than die to one of 3 rogues in the last swarm circles and lose 1,000. My PvP thought process starts in the tavern. I inspect every player I can to get an idea of what I'm up against. This is especially important now that multi-classing is in the game and you don't know what kind of player you're looking at across the room. With this info, you know what modules to avoid, what traps or ambushes to expect, and you can create a game plan for how you would approach a fight against each player in the lobby. Additionally, I always note if there are cutthroat rogues in the lobby, and if there are, I will either try to extract early or play most of my late game in the swarm next to a static extract because I know that they can't be invisible there. For example, if there's a melee player with a shield, we know that we can't rely on slow since they can block it easily, and instead need to invis juke them to create the separation. Blow of Corruption Phantomize Warlock with a longsword, slow to stop their advance, then Fireball Splash if they Phantomize, then invis juke when there's only 1 second left of their Phantomize, since you started counting down from 6 the moment that they started it. Recite in your head the different ways to best combat each player, since you won't have the luxury of the time to think about it when they creep up and ambush you. Combining all of those strategies, each game we are realistically aiming to net around 200 AP per run at Exemplar 1, which has a 1000 AP entry cost. We try to get about 750 AP from treasures and gear, about 250 from mobs, 150 from prop interactions like opening chests, and 50 from high-end interactions like shrines. Sometimes we kill a player that has looted the gold hoard after bossing, and we get insane treasure so we get more AP, and sometimes we get shafted on loot so we have to extract some blue gear and don't break even. Overall, we're just aiming to consistently net positive AP over time, slow and steady. Some other bonus AP strategies include using every shrine you come across, prioritize Lion's Head, Golden, and Ornate chests as well as Royal Coffins over regular chests since they give significant AP just for interacting with them as well as having high chances of holding high tier treasures. The only Goblin Caves mobs that can drop treasure are Giant Bats, Bola Goblins, Death Beetles, Giant Dragonflies, Giant Spiders, and Mummies, so those should be the only mobs that you spend time looting. The square and rectangle crates have a high probability of dropping at least 1 treasure of green to purple rarities. Barrels cannot drop treasure above white rarity, so they aren't worth breaking. Now that I've gone over my basic strategy, I'll show and comment over one of my best runs towards the end of my AP grind. Ooh, it gave us the worst spawn in all of history. The reason I say that this is a bad spawn is that it is not near any of the modules that are both high in AP potential and decent for wizard PvP, which are mainly in the northeast section of the map. When I spawn here, I will immediately go north to clear and loot module 20 and quickly grab the shrines and locked chest in module 15 before anyone else can. Then I will go back south to clear out module 25 and head west to hopefully end up in module 22, which has great AP potential and a static extraction point, so even if it ends in the swarm, I'll be okay. That was the faint gong sound of the cave troll dying in the module to my west. I could potentially try to contest it, but I would likely not be the only player doing that, and whoever killed the troll fully expects a counter. I have a decent idea of who the player is that was able to kill the troll so quickly since I inspected every player in the tavern. My guess would be the super geared Blow of Corruption warlock multi-class with a Slayer fighter, which is someone that I don't love my chances of surviving in those circumstances. I decide to just stay my course, and if I run into him later, I can fight under better conditions.
Mrs. Peacock was a man?
I actually made the mistake of not having my spellbook out right here. I assumed that nobody had spawned close enough to be here yet, but if this player had heard me clearing the module I was just in and set up an ambush at this door, I would certainly have been dead. Regardless, now I know an enemy is nearby, so I whip open my book and get ready to fight. Definitely a warlock, but not the super geared one. This one had a regular casting build with mild gear, and the time and location is decent enough to not get third-partied, so I decide to engage. I need to loot him quickly and get out of here in case any other players heard the fight and want to clean up. I would usually heal and recharge my spells before looting, but I didn't take any damage and didn't use many spells, so I would rather just grab his stuff and leave as soon as possible, especially since this is prime ambush territory due to all the tight corners. I take what little treasure he has and treat myself to his jewelry since it could sell decently and only takes up a few slots. I can always drop it for AP items later if I fill up my inventory. Here you'll see me use invisibility to scout out for any would-be ambushers that might have crept up as I leave the room and exit the module. I assume that around every corner here I will find a crouched barbarian ready to turn me inside out.
Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
Well, we meet at last. I can hear the mobs in the module to my west still alive and well, so there aren't third parties there, and if anyone was following me underwater, they would have shown themselves by now. This warlock came through the only realistic way an enemy would push through around here, and we know he's loaded to the brim with the troll loot. The problem is, for me to push him, I have to go through this long, narrow corridor where it will be next to impossible to dodge his spells, and even if I manage that, he'll just back up and Hydra spam the doorway, which is a fight that I will never win. I don't think we're going to be able to take his loot, not today at least. I still want to clear and loot this module to my west, since it should be enough for me to turn a profit on this run. He's gotta have a full inventory at this point, so if I show him that I don't want any trouble, He should just leave me be and go find his own extraction point. There's no way he would gamble all of his loot and give up his position advantage to try and come kill me. Oh my god. There you have it, plus nearly 600 AP on an Exemplar 1 run. Playing solo Wizard is about as hard now as it ever has been, so making it all the way to the top is definitely something to be proud of and something I hope to share with all of you by the end of the season. I'll be back soon with more PvP breakdown videos, so make sure to join my Discord and send some of your clips in to review. We can all learn from one another's victories as well as our mistakes. Until next time, farewell friends.